Merab versus Petr Yan. These guys are going to fight in March. The single greatest month in combat history, but they're going to fight in March, and that fight just got announced. Interesting for a few reasons. Is that 3 rounds or is that 5 rounds? I would really need to know that. Now, I would assume that would be a free TV 5-rounder. But March, when everybody else is fighting in March, that could even be on the main card of Jones versus Surreal. I mean, not for nothing, it's probably not a main event, but that's a big deal because if you want to deal with Yan, you got to take his pace away. Nobody's got a higher pace than Merab. So if you think that you're going to get the jump on Merab and you're going to do it with pacing, oh, by the way, you've only got 3 rounds to do. You got a big problem. You have a great big problem. And if you're in Yan's spot, right, you do not want to become a gatekeeper. Now, I respect Yan for going out and agreeing to this fight. I think that Yan will be the favorite for the fight. I don't know that that's not really good money. Because to get over on Merab in 15 minutes, that's a big ass. But what are these guys fighting for, right? That's where you start to get this gatekeeper status. If Yan goes out and beats Merab, what happens? What happens? Right? Nothing. He then goes and gets another hard fight. That's okay. That's most guys. I don't give Yan a hard time for that. It's just a new phase. It used to be if Yan wins this fight, what happens? He's the world champion. If Yan wins this fight, what happens? He goes and fights for the world championship. Right? I mean, that used to be how this worked. Now, what does Merab get if Rob beats Yan? I guess he just gets to be the latest guy that beat Yan. It's not as though Merab can go into a world title fight. If Merab beating Yan got a world title fight, then the last guy to beat Yan would have got a world title fight. Who happens to be Sugar Sean? So I'm just saying, like, what do you do? What comes of this? These guys were very excited to fight. I mean, I heard about this announcement from Merab. I don't know if anybody's got a better attitude than Merab. Merab does a lot of things really well. That pace is really good. The way he cuts weight, I mean, Merab is a real professional. He's got a great team. He's got great people around him. But if I could have one thing that he has, it would be his attitude. I mean, that dude is always on an upbeat. And I heard about this from Rod. He was very excited. He was very excited to announce this. Generally, a fight that you'd be very excited to announce against a former world champion is going to get you somewhere. I like this match. I think that Petr Yan's got to be real careful of becoming a gatekeeper. There's nothing that he can do. Many people have been put in that spot. The mere fact that he said yes and is stepping into it, he deserves credit for that. A lot of people thought that Yan won his last fight, which had he won his last fight would mean he's the number 1 ranked guy in the world. If he's the number 1 ranked guy in the world, that's the way that it should be, then he should beat Merab. But do you guys really think he will? And I didn't give you enough info. I told you it's in March. I know March is loaded, so I don't know that there's a main event open. So if it's not a main event, it's going to be 3 rounds. If it's 3 rounds versus Merab, you got a problem. You got a big problem. And what happens and where do they go? I mean, I'm taking a look at that division. Ricky Simone's the best fighter in that division. Ricky Simone's the only fighter to beat Merab within that division, and Ricky Simone seems to be the odd man out. You're going to get Merab in there in a magnificent opportunity that leads to nothing. You get Yan in there in a tremendous opportunity, which is just a boiler cooker. He had better win the fight or else. Where's Ricky going? I know guys are more than happy to leave Ricky's name out of their mouth, and for good reason. I understand why they keep doing it, but at some point, they're going to have to fight him. Somebody's going to have to fight him. And you can keep offering him these newer, younger guys that are just starving and dying for an opportunity, so that's why they'll put the name on the paper. Or you can get these meaningful guys, of which, by the way, should I mention, haven't beaten him yet. It's an interesting spot. The whole division is very interesting. The excitement around this fight by these athletes was a very cool thing. But it was also a little bit surprising. If you have that many wins, if you're on the cusp of being a number 1 contender, but you're openly saying, I'm not doing it because my teammate's the current champion, it's just not something I want. It just puts you in a tough spot. It's one hell of a fight, though. And if I were you, I would get over to DraftKings right now because something tells me that Yan is the favorite. I haven't checked it. I'll be fair with you. something tells me Yan is the favorite. But if my deductions are right, which is that it's not a main event and it's scheduled for 3 rounds, you better think long and hard. Do you really think somebody can get the jump on Merab if they only have 15 minutes to do it?